Hello and welcome to my studio journal. Now back in 2022, I started to redesign my home studio, shifting from software to hardware for the first time. What began as a few videos for some curious students soon became an ongoing unfiltered record. Now with regards to this patch bay, it says it's I don't know if you can see it, it says it's new on the side. This is just a rental. They're not even really supposed to rent this thing out, or it's not on their renter list. So I don't know what we got inside here, whether it really is brand new or whether it's been used before. Either way, it's just a patch bay, so I'm not too worried about it. It's just nice to be able to try this out to see if this actually is going to make a difference or not. Well, it looks like it's been untouched. So this is the manual, which I've already read online, so I already know what we're doing with this thing. So, and then this is the actual patch bay itself. Just pull it out. Man, this thing's heavier than I thought. So, this is a pretty heavy little unit here. Okay, so I guess we should put it the right way first here, hey? Okay, so actually what's interesting about this is, so it can be mounted two ways. These are apparently reversible rack ears, so you can either put it in kind of this way, or you can flip it around and put it in the other way. I guess in order to get to these back knobs here, which is funny, they put them on the back as opposed to on the front. That's the one I pushed in. Okay, these switch between normal and half normal. Okay, when pushed in, they're just running normal. When they're out, they're half normal. So anyhow, that's kind of how this thing works. Let's see, do they have it? Okay, yeah. So anyhow, that's it. So now we're going to set this thing up and see if this works. We're just going to put this right underneath the power conditioner, because that makes a lot of sense, right? Because you want to have power running next to your cables as much as possible. Of course, I'm being sarcastic. But anyhow, we're going to see if this works and if this does what we need it to do. If it does, then it becomes part of the system for sure. All right, let's get to it. Well, this was a good plan, but we see the problem here. I was going to originally put this patch bay underneath the power station, but look at how thin it is. So the power station definitely will not sit there on that. So for right now, we're just going to gently place it on top, and until we figure out what we're going to do with it further. What I would like to do is patch all the synthesizers over into the patch bay and the patch bay up into the mixer. I'm going to do that using these right here. This is just, I think it's a 1.5 foot snake from Monoprice, that they're 1/4 inch TRS. I heard good things about them. I think it should work fine. That's going to come from the patch bay into the mixer. So we're going to have some standard ends for one end of the mixer. Plus also we're going to be able to be color coded so we can tell what's going where and all that sort of stuff. So we have a few problems already. One is the TRS snake wouldn't reach from the mixing board down to the patch bay. The patch bay and power conditioner had to be moved up one shelf, which meant the DeepMind 12 had to be moved down one shelf. So anyhow, that was done. I patched in the Modi X. That seems to be working just fine. The problem with it is there is some electronic interference, and you could tell because if you turn up the headphones and you move the patch bay, you can hear the buzz change as it goes from one position to the other. The next thing I'm going to hook up is the Roland. These are the new cables that I got for it. And then we're going to put that through the patch bay and see what happens there. Okay, so everything seems to be going well. The patch bay, everything's sounding crystal clear, and I'm going to explain a little bit more about that later on. So we may as well just unbag the second TRS snake here and patch that into the bay so that we can carry on. So to sum up, today was pretty good. We bought the patch bay, the other power conditioner. Everything is kind of on its own. If you want to call these two shelf sections racks, you can call them that. They're not really racks, I know that. But anyhow, those two things are all set up. The patch bay is working. Everything is cabled into the mixer, so that's all good. Since I'm not used to dealing with analog, it's getting used to some of those little quirks. Right now I have all the audio cables running underneath the keyboard back there, so there's nothing on the floor. The interference and the noise in the system so far seems like it's barely there, so it's really good that way. Now I haven't hooked up the USB yet. If I hook up the USB and then all of a sudden everything starts getting cranky, I might just take this down a whole different route. I don't know yet. How to get the audio from the Machine Plus over to the mixing board. Those are really, really long runs of cables. But I was also thinking of doing something that may be a little bit more useful. And that was my third option I mentioned earlier, which was running a USB 3 cable over there and having an audio interface. If I have an audio interface parked on this other side of the wall, I would just need to run 2 cables from it into the patch bay. I could patch anything that's on this side, I could patch anything that's on the other side, anything in my studio. If I do an audio interface at this other point here, there's another chance that maybe I can patch things into it, even maybe buy another patch bay and just do it that way. So I mean, there is other options there. It's just going to take a little bit of thinking. But like I said, tomorrow I might not be doing too much in here because I do have one thing that I want to order so that it'll make this wall more manageable, because having the patch bay sitting on top of the power conditioner, it doesn't look good. It isn't right. I'm sure it's causing interference. Such ends day 7. So we'll see what happens when we get to day 8, whenever that might be. If you'd like to follow the full journey, check out my online studio journal linked in the description. Until next time, I'm just a music teacher having fun. Catch you on the next one.